Who were the first civilizations to set foot on our planet? Our history has been written by the victors, by those who held power and influence over the centuries. Yet, at a certain point in time, humanity shifted from primitive hunters to intelligent civilizations that created monuments, calendars, and ancient writings. All of this has evolved to the present day, and we are descendants of relatively intelligent beings. But what if it's not that simple? What if the story, as told by ancient civilizations, reveals tales of gods and angels, of giants and great disasters that are more literal than they first appear? What if we have received ancient knowledge beyond our human understanding? If we examine the details closely, an entirely alternate history of the human race suddenly surfaces, one that overturns conventional knowledge and the history we have been taught. This version has mostly been consciously censored, forgotten, or worse, ignored. Until now. Welcome to the new episode of Babylon Stories. In the beginning of 1946, in the area now known as the West Bank, a group of teenage shepherds tended their sheep and goats near the ancient settlement of Qumran. To pass the time, they tossed around the stones they found across the uneven desert terrain. When one of these stones landed in the dark recess of a cave, the teenagers were shocked to hear a loud shattering noise echoing inside. Curiosity, though tinged with fear, led them to investigate further. Inside, they discovered a collection of large clay pots. Unbeknownst to them, they had just made a historical discovery of great importance. Inside the clay pots were hidden a series of ancient scrolls. Subsequently, various archaeologists, historians, and treasure hunters found fragments of scrolls in 10 other caves in the area, bringing the total number of manuscripts discovered to almost 900. These manuscripts became known to the public as the Dead Sea Scrolls. Strangely, among them were large portions of mysterious, non-canonical religious texts long thought lost to human civilization. Today, this text is known as the Book of Enoch. In its entirety, the Book of Enoch consists of 5 books: the Book of Watchers, the Book of Parables, the Astronomical Book, the Book of Dream Visions, and the Epistles of Enoch, totaling about 100 chapters. These chapters recount the story of the 7th patriarch in the Book of Genesis, Enoch, the father of Methuselah and grandfather of Noah, the same Noah we know from the Bible. However, this is not the biblical story of Noah's Ark. In fact, the Book of Enoch offers an entirely different perspective on the events leading up to the great flood of Noah's time. The text tells of the Watchers, described in biblical terms as fallen angels sent to earth to watch over humans at some unspecified ancient point in time. According to one of the earliest legends, Enoch was the founder of astronomy and responsible for the compilation of the solar calendar. The Bene Elohim, or Sons of God, numbering in the hundreds, are said to have descended upon earth at Mount Hermon, a sacred place for both the Canaanites and the Jews who later invaded the region. Sanctuaries of the gods, Baal, Zeus, Helios, Pan, and goddesses like Astarte were built on its slopes. The term watcher is used to describe one who observes, those who watch those who are awake or those who are not asleep. These names reflect the unique relationship between the Watchers and the human race since ancient times. Over time, however, the Watchers abandoned their role as observers and began sexual relations with humans, primarily women, creating what are now known as hybrids. The Book of Enoch tells of the Nephilim, the children born from this crossbreeding between the Watchers and humans. The Nephilim are described as giants and savages who threatened and plundered mankind. In other words, supernatural man-eating giants. Angered by the actions of the Watchers, the mighty gods sent them to an underground prison deep within the earth. Enoch became the mediator between the gods and the imprisoned Watchers, a role that further provoked the wrath of Yahweh. According to the book, the mingling of the fallen angels and mortals led to the creation of semi-divine offspring. The text describes Enoch's journeys between heaven and earth in his role as mediator, how he flew with angels and saw rivers, mountains, and the very ends of the earth from above. Despite Enoch's intervention, the gods decided that the corruption of the planet warranted punishment. This punishment took the form of a great flood, which destroyed the Nephilim and left the Watchers imprisoned. Before this, however, Enoch was taken to heaven in a chariot of fire. The Nephilim also appear elsewhere in biblical texts. The Israelites once visited a land inhabited by giants so large that the Israelites appeared as mere locusts in comparison. While many biblical passages are seen in modern times as allegorical rather than historical, there is archaeological evidence for at least one great flood in Earth's history, a cataclysm, mentioned in countless religions and cultural traditions worldwide. Claims that giants like the Nephilim are purely fictional are challenged by numerous historical accounts. The traveler and explorer Marco Polo wrote of a race of giants in Zanzibar who were strong enough to carry 4 ordinary men. In modern Tangier, Morocco, local legend claims the city's founder was a giant named Antaeus. In Irish myth, the Giant's Causeway on the northeast coast, an astonishing 40,000 interlocking rock columns, was built by the giant Finn McCool to cross the sea to Scotland and battle another giant. Ancient Greek mythology, Norse legends, and other mythologies are also filled with stories of giants. If these creatures truly existed, as records from multiple cultures suggest, the Book of Enoch begins to look less metaphorical, less fantastical, and more like a manuscript grounded in actual history. The idea of semi-divine heroes originates from ancient myths describing alliances between gods and mortals. The poet Pindar described heroes of the past as a race between gods and men. Additional references allude to experiments that led to the creation of hybrid monsters by crossing unrelated species. Modern philosophical occultism preserves legends of Atlantis, where it is claimed scientists bred human-animal hybrids as a slave race. Records of such events appear in mythologies worldwide, especially among the Babylonians of the Middle East. The story of Noah and the flood in the Old Testament is said to have originated in Babylonian and Sumerian myths. Around 10,000 BC, a catastrophic event transformed early humanity at the end of the last ice age. This period also marked the beginning of agriculture in the Middle East, shifting from a nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyle to settled farming. Archaeological evidence from 9500 BC in what is now Kurdistan shows early cultivation of oats, peas, and lentils, along with domestication of goats and sheep. Interestingly, the Kurdish people claim descent from the children of the jinn, perhaps an ancient cultural reference to interbreeding between the Anunnaki and human women. The ancient Near East, known as the cradle of civilization, saw the rise of early city-states in Mesopotamia. The Sumerians and Akkadians developed the first written language, studied astronomy, and created libraries. The Babylonians and Assyrians followed. In the mythologies of all these civilizations, gods descended to earth and taught humans arts and knowledge. In the Book of Enoch, Enoch himself testifies to the mysteries of lightning and thunder, which some suggest symbolize knowledge of energy and electricity. When considering energy and electricity, one cannot help but recall Nikola Tesla, who famously said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." It may sound incredible, but stories of the Watchers, the Anunnaki, and the Nephilim giants, though forgotten or suppressed, are consistent across civilizations. The Book of Enoch, along with texts like the Gospels of Mary and Thomas, were censored from the biblical canon. Given how these stories fundamentally reshape our understanding of human history, their exclusion is not surprising. If we read the story of Adam and Eve allegorically, rather than literally, the parallels become striking. God creates Adam to watch over earth, just as the Watchers did in the Book of Enoch. Eve, created from Adam's rib, symbolizes the interbreeding between Watchers and human women. Adam and Eve were permitted to eat anything in the Garden of Eden, except for the fruit from the tree of knowledge. When they consume it, they gain awareness. The forbidden fruit symbolizes the Watchers bringing advanced technology and knowledge to humanity, who may not have been ready to handle it. Their realization of their nakedness reflects the awakening of Kundalini energy and the understanding of human life cycles, birth, death, and rebirth. Through this lens, the stories of Adam and Eve, the Book of Enoch, and Sumerian myths about the Anunnaki share remarkable parallels. Perhaps the authors of these texts were retelling the same ancient history in allegorical form, preserving the cosmic human lifeline through time. Enoch himself is described across many civilizations. The ancient Greeks equated him with Hermes, the god of wisdom. Egyptian sources claim he built the Great Pyramid. He was known under multiple names: Saurith, Hermes, Idris, and Enoch. In Hebrew, Enoch means initiated or enlightened. The Book of Genesis states simply, Enoch walked with God, and he was no more, for God took him. Enoch ensured that his knowledge would not disappear without a trace. Sumerian texts describe supernatural visitors called Anunnaki, those who came from the heavens, who interbred with humans to create a hybrid race, the Nephilim, mirroring the Watchers of the Book of Enoch. Like the Watchers, the Anunnaki were angered by the state of the earth and caused a great flood. The story is slightly different in form, but consistent in essence. Perhaps this is the only way we can glimpse the true reality of human history. The Book of Enoch, written in the first person, repeatedly asserts its authorship, as if Enoch feared future interpreters would misread him. In the first month of the 365th year, on the first day of the first month, I, Enoch, was in my house alone when two huge men appeared to me, the likes of which I had never seen on earth. By examining human history, from the agrarian revolution, the rise of cities and early agriculture, to Mesopotamian civilizations and the legends of the Anunnaki and Watchers, we begin to see a pattern. Advanced knowledge was brought to humanity by beings far beyond our comprehension, and myths, legends, and religious texts preserved these memories in symbolic form. What is human history? Is it what we learn from officially approved history books, or is it something deeper, something incredible, something forgotten? Perhaps the answers have been in front of us all along. If the secrets of our true history fascinate you, don't stop here. Subscribe now to uncover more hidden knowledge, ancient mysteries, and shocking truths that have been kept from humanity for centuries. Like, share, and comment to join the conversation. Because the story of our past isn't just in books, it's waiting to be remembered. Unlock the mysteries. Discover the truth. Start your journey today.